And he talks glowingly about both of you. I don't know if you got a chance to read it yet, but it's coming out soon.
No, I haven't read it yet. But
yeah, Ted said that some guy that wrote it, Ted's quote to me was 2 weeks ago. I said, we call him TT. I said, TT, what the hell, man? I said, you got a book coming out? I just heard about that. He goes, yeah. He said, it's great. He says, no, he said, he didn't say it was great. He said, it's kind of weird. He said, you know what? The guy that wanted to write it, I guess he wrote a Van Halen book.
No, you know what? Eddie, is that Greg Renoff?
Greg Renoff. Greg who wrote Van Halen Rising.
Yeah.
He co-wrote it.
He did the Van Halen Rising. Yeah.
Yeah. He said the guy did okay. He goes, but I should have proofread it a little more. He said, now that it's done, I read it a couple times and he goes, I cringe a little bit. So whatever that means. I guess he may have said some things he didn't want to say, but he's more private than Ed now put together, man. Ted, that's a recluse right there, man. He's a genius producer, but
I got to tell you, I read the book start to finish, and my gosh, especially by Van Halen standards with some of the other things that have come out. I mean, I didn't think, no, but Sammy, I'm not even talking about your book. I'm talking about Noel Monk's book and all this other stuff. I didn't think that there was the only sort of real drama that really comes up in the book. Well, first of all, he talks, which isn't the first time this has been talked about the fact that he wanted Sammy you to be in the band from the get-go. Like, he really wanted to replace Roth with you, but that's been out there a bunch. So crazy. And that never got on your radar back in the 70s, right, Sam?
No, it didn't.
Michael, how serious were those conversations with the band?
Oh, I remember they didn't get serious to the point to where obviously any calls were made or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I remember Ted, talking to especially Eddie and Al and myself about it, because he back then we were telling Ted, oh man, make us sound big and bad like that first Montrose record,
right?
Well, I'll tell you what, when I had finished my VOA record, I Can't Drive 55 record, with Ted Templeman. He produced it, right? And we were working on the next record. And I came home from the tour, and all that stuff, and from the VOA tour, and I was writing in my head. I was writing for the next record with Ted, and we were talking every day, like, hey, man, you got any new song? Oh, I got this idea. And I said, I just want to take my time. And I was really kind of looking to take a big break. And then Ted calls me and says, wow, I just found out it's 100% true that Dave left the band, right? Ted told me that on the telephone. I was sitting right at my dinner table. I looked at my wife and I go, wow, put my eyebrows up and I said, they're going to call me. I said that to her. And I told Ted that. I said, you watch, they're going to fucking call me. And within 2 days, Ed called me. It was just completely, very psychic. But when I said that to Ted, he would have had the opportunity to say, yeah, you should have been in the band from the beginning, or, whatever. But he never said that to me. The whole time I worked with him for, 6-7 months to get, on the VOA record and on the next record that never happened, because I joined Van Halen. And he never, ever brought that up to me that I was even thought about. That's so funny.
What he said,
he's a private guy.
Yeah, but what he says is that where he starts out feeling that way because of the, let's just say, vocal limitations. He then does a total 180 on Roth as he starts working with him, because he then says in the book he felt like lyrically and from a delivering standpoint, it turned out to be exactly what he was wanting in the band. So where it started out being like, we need a guy who can sing. And then after he started working with him and he saw what he was writing lyrically and how it fit the music, he's like, no, this guy actually is the perfect guy. So he does a big turn on him. And the other thing that's fascinating about it, and you guys can tell me if you agree with this, especially you, Michael, you were in the band at the time, but he says that he feels where everything went off the rails with Eddie was when Eddie opened 5150. He said because that felt like at that time he was left to his own devices and he could be locked in there. He tells a story about not even being able to get the tapes for the 1984 album. He said he had a fight with Don Landy to get the tapes because those guys just locked themselves away and nobody knew what was going on. He physically couldn't even get in there. So he said that the whole thing was he built this. Once he built 5150, he said that's when things really.